What is up, Dodgers Nation? D-Mac here, and we have for our Down on the Farm Fridays today, we have the Dodgers' top pitching prospect, Jackson Ferris, joins the show. Jackson, hope you're enjoying your Thanksgiving week, but thanks to you so much for joining us, my man.
Always. Thank you for having me.
It's time for Dodger baseball. Welcome to Dodger Stadium.
This is the golden age of Dodger baseball. The Dodgers are building a dynasty.
You got it, ready to parade. We got a parade. The Dodgers punch back and head to the championship series. Tony starts the 50-50 clock. Milky Magic. Freeman hits the ball to right field. She is gone. Start the party, Los Angeles. Your Dodgers have won the World Series.
Think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out. Yeah, and Jackson, you came here via a trade. And I'm pretty sure that you've heard a lot about this Dodgers organization and everything they do for players, the player development. But what has really stuck out to you in this whole process and everything the Dodgers organization has done to help you take your game to the next level?
I feel like the biggest difference for me is just on the coaching side is just like almost the fear of like not having a screw up. Like at the beginning of the year, I came in, we immediately started doing these new drills, and then we did this kind of fixed my motion, tinked with it a little bit, did this thing at the beginning of the year where I go over my head, and I mean, it just didn't really work. And I mean, for me, it was like, dang, this sucked. But at the same time, it's like, okay, I learned that that's just not going to work for me in the future. And the Dodgers, they were just like, okay, let's go back to normal. Like, we know this doesn't work. There was just no fear in them. They knew I could get back to what I was. And then sure enough, it worked, going back to what I used to do.
So it was kind of more of, okay, let's get back to your strengths, get back to kind of what kind of got you to this level to begin with. And when you get into a new organization, you're involved in the trade, Michael Busch, Yancy Almonte, you got Zaire Hope and yourself. Instantly, do you feel a change when going from the Cubs to the Dodgers? And kind of what was that biggest difference that you felt just immediately?
I mean, you just kind of like, I walked in, and first guy I got to see with the Dodgers was I walked into the training room with Tony Gonsolin. I mean, I just got to like kind of talk with him a little bit in the training room, and it's like, dang, this guy was like a NL Cy Young, like top 3 finish a couple years ago, whatever. And it's like, dang, this is pretty electric stuff, seeing some of the big name guys and all this stuff that the Dodgers got. And I mean, it was immediately, you just knew that like the room that you were stepping into was just like a winning mentality room. At all costs, we were just going to try and win no matter what. So you could definitely feel that vibe as soon as you walked in.
Yeah, and I kind of want to know too. I mean, you talk about the Dodgers. I mean, this is a foundation here of pitching, going back to Sandy Koufax, Fernando, kind of the list goes on and on. The Cubs, they've had their share of great pitchers too. If you Mark Pryor, he was a pitcher for the Cubs, and Kerry Wood, they have a lot of great pitchers, but how much of that kind of tradition immediately go through your mind, knowing that I'm not just a pitcher in Major League Baseball, I'm a pitcher for the Los Angeles Dodgers?
I mean, as soon as I found out I got traded, all the Cubs coaches, they were kind of hyping up the Dodgers coaches quite a bit whenever I was walking throughout the facility right before I left. And so that kind of eased my nerves a little bit whenever I had the guys who I had built a relationship with for a year hyping these guys up. I was like, okay, like I'm going to the right spot. I got a lot of guys in this organization that I can trust. And then you just start listening to what all these guys are saying. You're like, these are some really good ideas. You start going out on the field, they're working, everything's working. And it's like, okay, clearly I can trust these guys with whatever I got for my future.
Yeah, and you talk about the run you had this season from 27 starts this year, a 3.20 ERA. You're at high A Great Lakes to double A Tulsa. Talk about that tradition and the transition from high A Great Lakes to double A Tulsa.
I mean, it's definitely a step forward. You can definitely tell that the hitters got a little more discipline as you went up. But I mean, it's the same. It's still a baseball game. You got to go out there. You got to throw 3 strikes, get a strikeout. You got to go out there, get 3 outs in an inning. I mean, I feel like when I first went to Tulsa, I kind of overthought everything, gave the hitters a little too much credit. And by the end of it, I was like, okay, it's still baseball. Like there's no difference between this and a high school game. It's all in my own head. Like I just got to go out there and do what I do, and I'll be okay.
And talk about where your confidence is at right now, because you're outstanding. I mean, you made that transition look easy. Like you said, baseball is baseball. The hitters are better. A lot of people say once you kind of get past double A, then you're really springboarded to the next level. But just talk about where your confidence is after the year you had.
I feel like, so at the beginning of the year, I was going through quite a little bit of a rough spot, working on some things, and that kind of helped helped me once I started, like, something just clicked one day, and we just went to this like counter rotation thing in my motion. And as soon as that clicked, like, my confidence went through the roof. Like, I mean, it was just like, okay, I know I can go out there. I know I can still do what I do out there on the mound. And then it's just like, it's all in my own head. Like, if I go out there, if I think the right things, if I do the right things, it's all going to fall into the right direction. Let the defense do what they do behind you, and everything. I'll go out there and get my 5 innings, 6 innings that the team needs to help us get a win. So for sure.
And you talk about those things that are a little different. I mean, you look at where your pitch mix is at. You got the fastball, you got the slider. I mean, those are your 2 most used pitches. But what were some specific things that you may have tinkered with that allowed you to have more success?
So from the Cubs to the Dodgers, we went from banging my big slider and my sweeping slider that I had with the Cubs that they had taught me that my first year, to go into more of like a traditional, just like a bullet slider, thinking cutter, just trying to throw it basically as hard as I can, get the little small movement just off the bat, which is going to generate more swings. It'll generate its swing and miss, but it'll generate more swings to get a hitter in and out of the box as quick as possible. And then kind of took away from my curveball and changeup a little bit, just trying to learn that new pitch. And then as soon as I went to Tulsa, it was like, okay, let's bring one of these 2 pitches back into the mix. Got to either throw my curveball or a changeup to get a third pitch going. And I went with my curveball just because I threw that mainly in high school. So I just felt like an easier fix. And then this offseason, working on just establishing a changeup to get that 4th pitch going for sure.
Yeah, because with the Cubs, your arm slot was a little lower, right? And the breaking ball was mainly the sweeper. So with the
difference, that was kind of like, I'd lower my arm slot a little just to try and manipulate the movement for sure. And then now it's just like kind of get over the top. Same thing I got with my fastball, and just basically throw everything as hard as I can. Every single one of my pitches is throw it as hard as I can. So,
yeah, I mean, nasty stuff. That 70s curveball, I mean, everything you're working with. I mean, it feels like you're just continuing to expand and get more confidence. But what's the next step? What's the offseason look like as far as the pitch mix goes, mechanics go? Anything that you're focusing on this offseason?
I feel like for sure is developing a changeup, trying to develop holding runners on a little bit better. I don't think I can ever be too good at holding runners, just because like once you get to the big leagues, you got so many coaches looking at things you do to like little tells to get a guy going to second base, keep a runner out of scoring position, can go a long ways in a game. So those 2 things are big. And then also just going out there, keeping my mechanics the same as they were at the end of the year, because it was working for me really well. So just trying to keep those going.
So with the goal for the changeup, is it more of a 4th pitch, or just having secondary pitches you can just kind of use at any count and whatever one is on, and kind of different offerings there?
I feel like my slider clearly told to me this year that it's going to end up being my 2nd best pitch. And then I want my changeup and my curveball to be some of those pitches that I can work into any count. Be like a hitter sees a fastball slider, and in the back of their head, they're like, okay, he's got changeup, curveball for sure. So at some point down the road, I would want it to be like, okay, he's got 4 pitches. He throws them whenever he wants, however hard he wants, whatever he wants to do with them. I just don't really want them to be like, okay, fastball, slider here, not thinking curveball or changeup at all.
Yeah, because you talk to scouts, are like, Jackson Ferris has the potential to have 3 above average pitches, fastball, a couple secondary pitches. I mean, that's someone who has a future in Major League Baseball. Kind of big picture, I know a lot of players, they go through the process, they kind of think of their time in the minor leagues is just waiting for your time in the show. Big picture, what are your goals in baseball? Multi-time All-Star, make it to the show, kind of take it day by day. I know that's kind of a loaded question, but I mean, just kind of like to see where guys like you're at, because you're one of the top prospects for what is the best organization in baseball right now.
Yeah, I feel like step 1 is always just, going up a level. So right now I'm in AA. You got to start going up to AAA and then go into the big league. So I definitely want to get to the big leagues as quick as possible, establish myself there. And I feel like if I get to the big leagues, there's no end in sight. Like I want to be a Hall of Famer. I want to be all those things, be in Cooperstown, go down as one of the greater lefty pitchers out there. Like I want it all. So I'm definitely working for it all.
That's what we love to hear. That's what we love to hear, the confidence from Jackson Ferris joining us, the Dodgers' top pitching prospect here on Dodgers Dugout Live, the #1 Dodgers podcast and show on YouTube. Now, as far as the key to taking the next step in your development, is it having a better command of the strike zone? Is it throwing more strikes? And if so, what is the key to that? Just kind of harnessing that command.
I feel like, yeah, that's a big key. I feel like there are a lot of big keys, but for me, that's always been something that people have talked to me about. And I feel like it's just all in my own head. Like I've clearly shown out there that like I feel like I had the same mentality that most people have. You don't want to get hit. You don't want to get hit hard. You don't want to give up home runs. You don't want to give up runs, whatever. and you just got to go out there and you got to throw the ball over the plate. A Hall of Fame hitter gets a hit 3 out of 10 times, and it's like, wow, clearly like a pitcher's going to win majority of the battles if you just throw it over the plate. Just go out there. You got the stuff to do it. Just go out there and do what you do. Throw it over the plate.
And Jackson, I know you're paying close attention to what this team did in the postseason. And you go out there and you win a World Series. You beat the best team in baseball. Well, a lot of people thought were the best team in baseball in the Padres. You do that in the NLDS. You beat the Mets. You beat the Yankees. And you did it with 3 starting pitchers. You did it where your bullpen was covering almost 70% of the innings. How much of it is just grit and I have to be of the mindset of I'm going to get this hitter out with my best stuff? How much of it was grit in your mind that you saw from this Dodgers pitching staff throughout this World Series run?
It was definitely, you could see the grind on all those guys' face. The bullpen coming in early at the beginning of the playoffs, and then pitching just as soon as we went down 2-1 against the Padres, you saw this something click in the bullpen and the starting pitching staff where it was like, okay, we're going to push through and we're going to get us through it. Hitting click too. Like we started putting up as many runs as we did and giving up 0, 1, 2 a game. And it was like, this seems like a lot of fun to be a part of. So hopefully in the near future, I could be a part of it.
Yeah, and how locked in were you? Were you watching every inning? Did you have your Dodgers fan cap on? Because, you got to see on a different level. Are you agonizing through every pitch like all of us fans are on watching this entire World Series run, Jackson?
Oh, yeah. My whole family, we were on the edge of our seats pretty much every game of the series, every game of every series. So, yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun to watch.
And of all the pitchers, were there some that stood out? Walker Buehler, Blake Trinan, Yamamoto, Jack Flaherty, the list goes on and on. The dogs in the bullpen, love me some Brett Honeywell, fear the turtleneck. But were there any that particularly stood out as far as inspiring you?
I feel like it's a pretty obvious answer. Like just Walker Buehler and what he did in the World Series. Like you come back on 1-day rest. Seems pretty electric to come back on 1-day rest, say, hey, I'm good to go, and then get throw the last inning of the game. Like, yeah, that's what you want. You want to be the game one. You want to do all these things, but you're basically just going out there and doing a job to win every single game. And clearly he showed that, hey, I'm up for doing whatever it takes.
And I got to ask you, what was your reaction when Freddie Freeman hit that walk-off grand slam? We just had the 1-month anniversary yesterday. I've seen it basically 5 million times. I don't know how many times you've seen it, but what was your reaction? Because I don't know about you. You probably think of Nestor Cortez. They showed his face. He looked like he had just seen a zombie or something. He was frozen. But just kind of what was your reaction to seeing something like that?
Honestly, when he hit it, I was like, oh, please tell me it's not a jam shot. And then he throws his arms up in the air and you see Nestor drop his head and it's like, oh, he got all of it. And everybody's just screaming around the house for sure.
And honestly, how much does that help you? You got the Dodgers pitchers. They're elite. They're great. You got the hitters. You kind of being around great hitters in this organization, how much do you learn on the pitching side, just kind of being around that?
In high A, when I was going through my rough time at the beginning of the year, I would have hitters stand in on my bullpens and just be like, hey, what do you see? Can you see this pitch pop? Can you see this pitch come out? Can you see anything different with my motion? I was asking the hitting coaches, hey, if you were doing like a scouting thing for the lineup that day, what are you telling them about me? And I was just kind of going through that because, a hitter's going to tell you everything you need to know in the box. And it's like, started looking at these little things, looking at him moving his feet, moving his hands. What's he looking at? All these things. And it really just helps you out, get a hitter's view because that's who you're trying to get out. So it's definitely good to get a perspective from them.
So I love that. It only makes you get better. Now, I have to ask you too, congratulations on winning the Dodgers Branch Rickey Minor League Pitcher of the Year award. That's quite an accomplishment, especially in this organization, all the history and tradition. What was that experience like going to experience Dodgers Stadium and see 50,000 strong? Did you kind of envision yourself there pitching one day?
Yeah, for sure. They always, I don't know, first time being at LA Stadium, they always talk about, hey, the third deck, it'll really get to you sometimes whenever you go from the minor leagues to the big leagues. And it's you look at the Dodger Stadium and you're on the mound, you're looking to home plate and you see a fourth deck that's right behind home plate. And it's yeah, you talk about a third deck. Well, LA Stadium's got a fourth deck. Yeah. And for me, it's these minor league games where there are a lot of people. It's just me being from a small town where we didn't really have a whole lot of fans come to our games. You see these giant crowds and it doesn't really make you too nervous. It almost just makes you sit there and smile and just embrace the moment and almost make you better in that moment for sure.
It's funny, every time a pitcher makes their debut and I talk to them, that's the first thing they mention is seeing all those decks and just kind of getting used to that and kind of soaking that in. And then, like you said early in the interview, it's just baseball. It's pitcher versus hitter. You got to go get guys out. Now, I want to know, though, you go inside that Dodgers clubhouse, you see Clayton Kershaw's locker, you see Walker Buehler's and Shohei Ohtani's, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman. What goes through Jackson Ferris's mind when you walk inside that Dodgers clubhouse?
I mean, it was a bit jaw dropping to say the least. Like we went to the locker room. Everybody was kind of out on the field for BP, but I talked to Buehler for a little bit in the locker room, getting to know him. And then I went out on the field, and I mean, there's everybody. Like they started introducing us to everybody, and then there's like Mookie Betts. I grew up being a Red Sox fan, so I grew up watching Mookie. So getting to meet him, watch him take BP, it was awesome. Max Muncy's there, and then I go over and there's Clayton Kershaw, and it's like they introduced me to him, and it's like this is who I kind of looked at for myself, not to like compare me to him, but there are a lot of things to like with Kershaw and what he's done in his career, and a lot of things that like I want in my career that he's done. And so, I mean, just to be able to like, my jaw dropped a little, shaking his hand. It's like, okay, I got to act like, can't be one of those like fan looking guys, like,
gotta play cool,
like shaking these guys'
right?
hands. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. No, I can never thank the Red Sox enough for trading the Dodgers Mookie Betts. So that's just incredible. But did you talk to anyone, get any advice from anyone that you kind of picked up? And you said you talked to Walker Buehler, but anything from anyone kind of stick out?
I feel like it's not really what one person said that stuck out, but then you watch some of these interviews, it's like you can just see the amount of fun that this group of guys had. Like, I mean, through all the adversity that they went through, all the injuries, and it's like at the end of the day, like we're getting to play a baseball game for a living. It's like, what more could you really ask for? Like, yeah, it sucks sometimes. Like, yeah, you go through these rough spells, but like you just got to go out there and smile and have fun. And I mean, just enjoy the moment. A lot of people don't get to do this. I mean, just go out there and have fun with it.
Yeah, it feels like it's the ultimate work hard, play hard type team. When it's time to perform, they're going to do it at the highest level. When it's time to enjoy, they're going to do that as well. Now, as far as Dave Roberts and Mark Pryor, Andrew Friedman, did you get a chance to meet with them too? And what was kind of their message to you?
Yeah, I mean, I got to meet with them a little bit. It was just kind of just short talks, just kind of them getting ready for the game. Didn't really want to intrude on any of it, but I mean, I'm definitely excited for next year and what's to come. I'm hoping everybody else is excited for next year and what's to come, and hopefully we all can play. Hopefully I can play a big part in what happens at that level. So,
yeah, I got to ask you too, because I think you wear number 19, right?
I've kind of worn a different bunch of different numbers, but yeah, in Tulsa I wore number 19. Yeah,
you're 19 at Tulsa because 19 is retired for the Dodgers. Jim Gilliam. Have you thought about what would be your ultimate Dodgers number when you get to the show? Not if, but when you get to the show.
I have. I don't know. I mean, I grew up in high school. Well, when I was younger, I was 34. Can't be 34 with the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Then when I got to high school, I was 10. So, I mean, I've been a bunch of different numbers. Numbers really doesn't.
Yeah.
I was number 13 for a while, and I like number 13. Like a lot of people say it's like a bad luck number or whatever. And I used to always have the mindset. I was 13 in basketball, and I used to always have the mindset that like it was a bad day for the other team if they had to face me, so I'd wear number 13. So
13 goes hard. Ask Max Muncy, Hanley Ramirez. I mean, 13 goes hard. I remember talking to Landon Knack about his number 96, and he was like, they just gave it to me, and I found out that no one had ever worn 96, so I just want to roll with that. I'm like, dude, you're born in 97, man. You try to get the 97. But, yeah, I mean, it's all good. Now, as far as the kind of what the Dodgers prospects go through, I think one of the big things about the Dodgers prospects are they're always going to scout, always going to develop, they're always going to have some of the best highly ranked prospects in the game. And then there's the Dodgers big league club that's always involved in trade rumors. Do you pay any attention to that? And kind of what's your mindset surrounding that?
I didn't really, I mean, with me being traded this past offseason, I didn't really think about it too much. Like I didn't even think about it when I was with the Cubs. And then next thing you know, like this gets thrown on me and I'm like, shoot, like where do I go from here? Like now every trade deadline, am I going to be in the back of my own head thinking about it? And it's like, I just thought to myself, like, I mean, I've been here 1 year. Hopefully nothing happens. Whatever happens, I guess. But, like, I'm just going to go out there and do my own thing. But I love the Dodgers. I love everything they're doing. So I'm hoping I stay here for good, for sure.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have, right? If you're involved in trade talks with the Dodgers, it's not for some random player, right? It's for, like, the best players in the sport. So if another team wants you, it shows you that you're doing a lot of things right. So love to hear that. And, yeah, Jackson Ferris, the Dodgers minor league pitcher of the year, joining us. So we're going to get you out of here on a rapid round. We're going to get to know a different side of Jackson Ferris. By the way, I really hope that Buehler resigns and you come up and we can get the picture with Buehler and Ferris. The Ferris
for sure.
Well, we have to get that. The Dodger world needs that, right? But first question I have for you is, who was your favorite player growing up?
David Ortiz.
Big Red Sox guy here. Big
Yeah.
Red Sox guy. Hey, Big Poppies. Did you see the Netflix doc?
Yeah, I have.
That was incredible. Love
Yeah,
watching.
my dad's from Boston, so I mean, it was kind of a Red Sox are get out of the house households for us.
Hey, you got to respect that. Great fan base. So that leads me to I already have the answer for the next question. Favorite team growing up? Definitely the Boston Red Sox. Okay, what would you be doing if you weren't a baseball player?
I don't know. I mean, I did a couple health science classes, like medical stuff. Both my parents are in the medical field. I mean, my little brother, he wants to be a vet. I feel like I'd almost have to do something in the medical field considering everybody else in the household's doing it.
Hey, don't worry. You all-star pitcher's fine. You're good. Okay. What's the best thing you can cook?
I cook hibachi food pretty often on the Blackstone outside for dinner for the family. So probably that. I also cook a pretty good steak. So
nice. Delicious.
Yeah.
Okay. Your favorite, what do you listen to on game days? What's your game day music? Your pregame music? What gets you hyped?
I usually listen to like country music before, like as soon as I walk into the field, usually throw headphones in. I'm not like a big like, hey, don't talk to me kind of thing. Like you can ask the guys in Midland. Like I played ping pong with them on the days I pitched. Awesome. Like did all those things, and then usually like right before the game, I like Travis Scott because I think he's got like good beats to a song, good rhythm to a song. So I usually listen to him like right after I get my shoulder stretched before like the 10 minutes I head out onto the field, and that's usually how I listen to just a couple songs. Then I'm out.
Hey, Travis Scott goes super hard. Okay. Do you have a best City Connect uniform in baseball? Do you like the Dodgers? You got the sprinkles happening. I mean, do you have a favorite City Connect that stands out?
I love the Dodgers. I mean, I got a couple of City Connect. Like I got like a polo City Connect, beanie City Connect. I love the Dodgers one for sure.
It's funny because like I remember talking to some of the players. I remember asking Glass now about it, and he was like, they're comfortable. But that was day one. Then 2 months in, they all loved him. They grew on him. You know what I mean? That's you go crazy with it. It takes a minute because they're just so over the top. But honestly, they kind of grow on you a little bit. Now,
yeah, for sure.
If you could strike out any player in the history of Major League Baseball, past or present, who would that be, Jackson?
I mean, if it's a who I'd want to strike out if I was in the big leagues, it would be the first hitter, the leadoff hitter of whoever I'm throwing against. But if it's all time, I mean, probably David Ortiz. I just feel like it'd be kind of an awe moment, like throwing against David Ortiz in Fenway Park with the Dodgers and like a World Series game. Like my whole family's there. It'd be pretty surreal moment for sure.
Battle right there, a little lefty-lefty matchup.
Yeah, I definitely think lefty might be a little unfair for him, but
yeah, exactly. Hey, you got to get the little platoon advantage there. Okay, can you give me your 4 Mount Rushmore pitchers, your 4 favorite pitchers of all time? Not who you think are the greatest, but your 4 Mount Rushmore pitchers.
Kershaw, DeGrom. I love watching Pedro Martinez highlights.
Yes.
Who's the 4th? Let's see. I love Blake Snell too. I love like when Blake Snell's throwing really well. I love watching Blake Snell.
Blake Snell. Hey, Snellzilla is the real deal. That's my top free agent target for the Dodgers. I think you add him to this group. I mean, he's an absolute beast. We saw what he did to the Dodgers in Game 6 in 2020. Pedro Martinez, Dodgers legend, by the way. Legend, by the way. Of course, I'm only kidding. I used to love how he used to cut the jersey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why don't players do that anymore? I guess they make them right. But he used to cut that jersey, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Pedro Martinez is the real deal. Okay. Last question here. You can go on a road trip with 2 of your teammates. Going on a road trip, cross country, maybe driving back from spring training, Arizona to LA. Which 2 teammates are you picking?
Oh shoot. Probably Karros and Campos. I feel like Jared Karros and Chris Campos, we've kind of built a pretty good relationship in Midland, and then we went up to Tulsa together, and I mean it was just kind of like us 3 in Midland. Me and Karros were roommates, and when Karros got called up to Tulsa, CC moved into my place, and then when they went up a little bit before me, we just started hanging out again in Tulsa, kind of doing a couple roads. Final road trip we did together to Wichita right before we left. So,
so it's not even hypothetical. You actually done this road trip with these guys.
Yeah.
Cool. So who controlled the music?
I was driving. Campos was controlling the music because Karros was in the back.
All right, so you can stop at a gas station and get 1 gas station snack. What is it?
Munchies.
Munchie is going hard. But there he is, Mr. Jackson Ferris. Go follow him on Instagram, on Twitter. We thank you so much for joining us here on Dodgers Dugout Live down on the farm Fridays. Jackson, good luck next season. Love having you in this organization. Congrats on winning the minor league pitcher of the year last season. We hope you enjoy your offseason, my man.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
There he goes, Jackson Ferris, the Dodgers' top pitching prospect. Go follow him. He's the real deal over on X and Instagram. And yeah, bright future for Mr. Jackson Ferris.